Thank you. Well, thank you very much for having me here today. I'm feeling very honored coming a long way from Germany to actually have the opportunity to tell you at least a little bit of our family business, which is a huge part of our life. And I just want to give you some ideas in a little movie I just brought along. So have fun watching the next 4 minutes.
We've used countless tons of steel. We've drawn innumerable sketches and then made them real. From natural raw materials, we have shaped true masterpieces. We've roasted tons of popcorn. Thousands of brushes have brilliantly decorated our walls. We've sewn more than 10,000 costumes and changed more than 5 million bed linens. We have installed more than 5,000 seats for all the arenas and stages that mean the world. True legends have left their marks here. Each day brings new challenges and invites us to create something unique. To give our world a little more color, more adrenaline, more poetry. Each day, new dreams are born. In over 3 decades, we have never stopped being visionaries. And there are very simple reasons for that. We want to amaze people. And enchant them. To move them. Whether at 130 kilometers per hour or at 13. By the way, our trains are always on time, so you won't lose a second of your wonderful day, because that would be a pity. possible. Accept boredom. Welcome to Europa Park.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to speak a little bit about our family history, where we do come from, and as you've seen in the video, Europa Park was founded in 1975. It's a purely one of the very little dinosaurs out there, 100% family-owned company, which we're very proud of, and those are the different fields I'm going to speak to you about. It all started with Mag Rides, which is our production company, founded 230 years ago in a little city called Waldkirch, which is at the leg of the mountain Black Forest. And here you see the first production hall from 1970-80. Later, we produced stagecoaches, which were very popular and considered to be the Mercedes of stagecoaches in Europe. We did a lot of stagecoaches for the kings and queens at that time. And then we moved on to build first-class caravans for mainly show people and traveling people, like big circus and showmans. We built carousels. And finally, in 1921, we built the first wooden coaster for Tivoli, Copenhagen, which you can see on the picture. 1951, the first wooden bobsled. And 1960, we started to go abroad and send us delivered to the US, which was my grandfather, which you can see on the right picture, which was also the founder, together with my dad, of Europa Park. Nowadays, Mag Rides is still existing with over 200 employees, and we still produce roller coasters, which we are delivering throughout the world. So let's speak about the Europa Park itself. When we opened, or when we started building the park in 1973, it was, nowadays you would say, a showcase actually of our products. So we want to be close to the factory. And the first year we actually opened, we had 250,000 visitors. So it was very difficult to believe that everybody wants to build or wants to have a roller coaster. So we thought, well, that's an interesting business to not only sell roller coasters, but also to operate them. Here you can see an opening picture from 1975, and here you see a little park map, how the park grew over the years. So here we go, that's the full picture of it, and here you see the family. It's actually my father and my uncle in the 7th generation. My brother and myself are the 8th generation, which you see on the very far right and on the left. My dad, actually, who is still the founder, overlooking that the boys are doing good, is responsible for everything, and he was the first chairman, the first German chairman of IAPA last year, which we were quite honored to have the opportunity to at least be in the national board and representing it. My uncle, who's doing finance, my brother, who's doing the gastronomy and the hotel business, and myself, who is responsible for strategical development in the right manufacturer and the park. We have over 100 attractions, 14 themed European countries. Here you'll see Iceland, which was newly opened 2 years ago. 90% of the attraction are built from Mag Rides, which does make us the only operator and producer of both things combined in one family. 2012, we took a non-mag ride right into the park, which is Wodan, our first wooden coaster built by Great Coasters International from the US, which was a quite successful brought to the park. This year, we're going to extend our fairy tale, which is honored to the Brothers Grimm, who have their 200 years anniversary in Germany. So the new fairy tale forest is dedicated to the Grimm brothers, which are well known throughout the world. And it happened to be that we were winning the Thea Award winner for the Food Loop, which is the first roller coaster restaurant, which is a unique experience, and it has 2 loopings in it, so your food actually comes through the roller coaster to your table, which actually shows a little bit of the history where we're coming from, combined with great food. We have 5 hotels in total with unique theming, over 4,500 beds at the park. Here you see our newest opened hotel. It's the first hotel in Europe with a lighthouse tower. And I always say, when people ask me, why are you leaving your way of a European theme park, I always say, why are you going to the US? I always tell the people, because it might be that my dad was president of IAPA, so he wanted to be a little bit more American on that hotel. And another branch, what makes Europa Park so special is that we're really widely open to keep the park alive also when it is nighttime. Confertainment stands for conference and entertainment. We do have over 250 artists from all over the world in our park, so we can be very individual for group and celebrations, staying in the park even when the park is closed. Here are just a couple of images of our conference rooms. A newly opened confertainment center, which is a historical carousel and mirror tent, which are both dating from 1904 and 1920. We have a dinner show in our own theater where we perform every night, a very classical European or like French, German production. And here you see another teatro from 1919, which is based at the park. And it gives us a little bit the link to our history, where we come from. So let me talk a little bit about our entertainment section in the park. We do a lot of grand openings outside the park. So we opened the Champions League for a couple of years, which is the always final of the best teams, soccer in Europe. We have spectacular shows, over 6 big ones and smaller street entertainment. And we also do a lot of TV shows, hosting the most popular shows in Germany. Every Sunday we do have a live show out of the park, which is called Always Sundays, literally translated, which is very popular among the Germans. It's a lot of folk music, and you all know that. And we started to open our own horror event, which is quite unusual for Europe, with 7 mazes, and already won a couple of awards for that. So it's an additional entertainment thing in the evening. Well, last but not least, just to finish my presentation, I'd like to speak to you about our media branch, which we opened up 2 years ago. And here you can see our featured movie, which is at the park. It's a 3D animated movie, which is distributed worldwide via N-Wave. It's a 4D attraction, which has already been seen by 1.5 million visitors. And this is our CGI pop band, which we're going to launch this year in Germany with an own album. So we're trying to get a little bit into the music industry. And last but not least, it's our preschool teen program called Equipsy, which will be shown in the park and throughout television station, and it deals with the European idea and the different characters. So maybe we get the other way around. Disney started with movies, we started with roller coasters. So maybe we can put it the other way around. Yeah, that was my short and quick presentation about Europa Park. We're very proud, and like I said, the 8th generation, trying to continue it as long as possible, being a family-operated business. We just achieved nearly the 5 million visitors, which is a quite huge number, being the second biggest theme park in Europe, and maybe the most successful one when it comes to figures. So we're beneficial, which makes us quite happy. So thanks you very much for listening, and I love to welcome you ever when you're in Europe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. May we have the lights up and we can take a few questions.
Hi, I'm Lisa Meller with Papillon Entertainment. As I think about something that has a legacy from the 70s, and as you look to continually reinvent yourself, but yet you have to deal with the good and the bad of what was, what are some of the critical factors that you have to keep in mind as you look towards, entertaining today's audience and what you will do tomorrow without just getting bigger?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, what helps us is literally we're in the middle of nowhere. We're down at the Black Forest, close to the French and the Swiss border, and we have a lot of repeat visitors. So we are at 80% of repeating visitors. So we're just needing 1 million guests every year in Newell. And we're trying to make fun for the whole family, actually. I mean, it would be very difficult to open a fairy tale forest at a big chain park or like a corporate park, because you wouldn't raise an attendance highly. So what we try is actually to really keep the whole family happy, that it never gets too boring for the grandfathers, never gets too boring for the children. So it's kind of a habit. You just go once a year to Europa Park, and of course you have thrill rides, of course you have to have special things, but I think it's more or less like, I dare to say, because we're here in the home of our industry, but it's more like a Disney appeal rather than just bigger and higher. It's just like make the whole family happy, give them a great value, give them a great, and I mean, it's very rarely that a whole family can really enjoy a day in the park, because some do like great coasters, some do like going into fairy tale, and we just try to combine it, that the grandmothers can see a great show, the youngsters can go on the great coasters, the very small ones can go to our fairy tale forest. So we're trying to balance our attractions throughout the whole family. And I hope that'll last for the next 30, 40, 50 years. But I think when it comes back, it's always an experience to go to Disney, at least for me, because you just grow up with the brand. And I do hope that people do grow up in Germany with our brand and say, like, it's a kid's experience. We've been there with our grandparents, and we want to show it to our kids. So it's kind of a legacy which we hope it's passing on throughout the generations.
I'd just like to say I'm a huge fan of Europa Park, and I've been growing up seeing a lot of different media elements from it. And one of the things that's always caught my ears is the music that's associated with the park. And I've noticed a lot of the attractions do have a big sort of emphasis on music. Could you talk a little bit more about sort of what goes into developing a lot of the music for the areas of the park?
Well, like I said, we basically like coming from roller coasters, so we are quite hands-on. Well, music never played a huge role, and I'm luckily that my brother is a great composer, and he's just trying to play with the music more than we did in the past. But like, if you would talk to my grandfather, he would say, well, the people just come for a roller coaster, not particular for the overall experience. But he was like a showman, traveling through Germany, traveling through the world. And for him, the ride was the most important thing to do. But that's a nice thing in a family-owned company, that you really can change your brand throughout the generations. So I remember my grandfather saying, when we built the first hotel, he was yelling at my dad saying, like, why are you doing a hotel? Nobody will stay overnight because they just come for ride the roller coasters. So now we're the biggest resort actually in Germany and in a theme park in Europe with Disney. So some people love to stay. And when I started doing a horror event, my dad said, like, you're crazy because we just have families, but we're trying to appeal to every audience. And my brother is now composing music, and let's see what happens next. But we always try throughout the generation, try new ideas and really try to make the brand wider and brighter, not bigger.
I was just curious on how you treat, I guess you could say, creating intellectual properties for your park. I mean, I'm sure it's a challenge for every theme park because there's so many stories that are classic to everyone. And so how do you, I guess, keep it so that you're not copying what other theme parks are doing or what other entertainment businesses are doing and keep it fresh and original?
Well, I think if you have the right balance of everything, I mean, I wouldn't like to be just a movie theme park. I wouldn't just like to be a ride theme park. I would just not like to be a show park. I think it's a mix of the percentage or the mix of. So I would never buy more than 1 or 2 IPs to the park. That's at least our philosophy. So. Not to appeal too much to a certain crowd, because the young ones might know the IP, the oldest one don't know them, so they get bored of the IP because they think, what's that? So we just try to be very careful how much of intellectual property we're going to bring into the park. So try to keep a good balance.
Any other questions for Mr. Mack? If not, are you hungry? All right,
Seems
if
like
you're
it.
hungry, please thank Michael Mack for
Thank
being
you
with
very
us
much.
today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael.